1. Introduction. My name is Gina. I was 22 years old when I married David. Our life together began with very little money, but we had big dreams for our future. I had some personal savings from my part-time job. David was a very smart man, full of good ideas. We both wanted to build something special together. I believed in him with all my heart. My trust in David was complete and strong. After our wedding, I used all my personal savings to help him. This money was important to start his own business, a small printing shop. David worked hard every day at the shop, trying to make the business grow. I also worked hard, but my work was at home. I cooked our meals, cleaned our house, and later, when our children came, I took care of them with love. Our days were always busy, filled with different kinds of work. In those early years, our life was simple, but it was also filled with great happiness. We often talked about our dreams, and we worked together to make them real. David focused on building the printing company, making it stronger day by day. I dedicated myself to creating a warm and loving home for our family. We shared everything, our hopes, our challenges, and our successes. There was a deep and complete trust between us, which felt like the foundation of our marriage. I felt much pride in what we were creating as a team. Our efforts, both inside and outside the home, felt important and meaningful. Every day, we moved forward, step by step, towards our shared goals. I truly believed that our love and our strong teamwork would last forever. Our home was always filled with happiness and the warmth of a loving family. Our work was often hard, but it always felt rewarding. We had strong faith in each other and in our shared path. This was the beginning of our married life, a time full of hope, hard work, and complete faith in one another. 2. The business grows. The printing business grew quickly. It became very successful in a short time. After only a few years, we had many new clients. David decided to open a second branch of the business. This meant more work, but also more money for our family. Our life started to change. We bought a new car, a big improvement from our old one. We also moved from our small house to a much bigger one. It had more rooms and a nice garden for the children. David hired more people to work for him. Everything was looking very good, and I felt happy about our progress. I continued to stay at home most of the time. My main job was to take care of our 2 children. I cooked meals for the family every day. I also cleaned the house and made sure everything was tidy. I believed in David and trusted him completely with the business. I truly thought he was working hard for our family's future and our shared dreams. David started to change how he dressed for work. He began wearing expensive, smart suits every day. He looked very professional. He also started working late almost every night. He often came home when it was already dark. He told me the business was growing fast and he needed to spend more hours there. He explained there were many important meetings and new plans. I understood and wanted to support him from home. I believed his dedication was completely for us, for our children, and for building a better life together. However, I began to notice small changes in him. David seemed very busy and sometimes tired. He stopped asking for my thoughts or opinions. He started making big choices about the business without talking to me first. Sometimes, when he came home, he looked tired, but he also seemed a little distant from me. He was not as close or as open as before. I often thought he was just very stressed because of all the hard work. I told myself that he was doing his best for our family and that his focus was on our future. My trust in him was still strong. I believed we were still a team working towards our shared dreams. I felt proud of his success. 3. A strange distance. After some time, I felt a new feeling in our home. It was like a quiet space was growing between David and me. This space felt cold, unlike the warm closeness we once shared. He was often busy, and I understood that work was important. But his busyness seemed to take him further away from me, even when he was home. The small, loving things he used to do became less frequent. I started to miss them very much. David stopped giving me a hug when he came back from work. He also stopped giving me a kiss when he left in the morning. These were small things, but they meant a lot to me. They showed me he cared. Now they were gone. One day, I waited for him to remember a special date. It was our wedding anniversary. I had planned a small dinner. I bought his favorite food. I even put on a special dress. But he came home late, as usual. He did not say anything about our anniversary. He did not remember. My heart felt heavy. It was a day we always celebrated. He had forgotten it completely. Then came a night that made me feel very worried. David arrived home much later than usual. He said he had an important meeting. But when he walked closer to me, I smelled something strange. It was a perfume. It was not my perfume. It was a different, sweet smell. This smell was strong on his shirt. He also had a smile on his face. It was a smile I had not seen for a long time. But this smile was not for me, I thought. A cold feeling started in my stomach. I tried to push away the bad thoughts. I told myself it was nothing. But the smell stayed in my mind. The next morning, I decided I needed to talk to him. I wanted to understand what was happening. I asked him carefully, "David, is everything okay? You seem different." He looked at me, but his eyes did not meet mine. He quickly said, "Yes, everything is fine, Gina. You are just imagining things." He even laughed a little, but it did not sound real. He then changed the topic. He asked about the children's school day. He did not want to talk about us. He did not want to hear my worries. His quick dismissal made me feel even worse. It was like my feelings did not matter to him anymore. At that moment, I felt a deep sadness. It was like something inside me broke a little. The man I married, the man I trusted completely, was changing. I did not understand why. I felt very alone. I was confused about our life together. The distance between us was no longer just a feeling, it was real. I lay awake that night, thinking about the perfume, the forgotten anniversary, and his cold words. My mind was full of questions. I wanted to go back to how things were, but I did not know how. The future looked unclear and full of shadows. 4. The new secretary. One afternoon, Gina decided to visit David at his office. She wanted to surprise him with lunch. She thought it would be a nice gesture, a way to perhaps bridge the growing distance she felt between them. She spent a lot of time preparing a delicious meal for David and his team. She hoped to see his happy smile and share a simple, pleasant moment together, like in their early days. When Gina arrived at the busy office, she asked for David. A young woman stepped forward. She was tall and had long, dark hair. "Hello," the woman said with a clear voice. "I am Linda, David's new secretary." Linda was very beautiful, with bright, intelligent eyes and a calm, confident way of speaking. Gina felt a strange, immediate discomfort. Linda's smile seemed polite, but her eyes held a coldness. She looked at Gina with an air of knowing something secret, something Gina did not understand. David then came out of his office. He looked quite surprised to see Gina standing there. He quickly thanked her for bringing the lunch. He formally introduced Gina and Linda to each other. Gina tried to be friendly, but Linda remained distant. She did not engage in much conversation. She mostly just observed. Gina felt a tight knot forming in her stomach. She wondered, why does she look at me like that? What is wrong? The visit felt shorter than Gina had planned. She left the food and went home, carrying a heavier heart than when she had arrived. After that particular day, David began to mention Linda very often at home. Almost every single evening, her name would come up in their conversations. "Linda finished the big sales report today," he would say. Or, "Linda helped me a lot with the new important clients." He consistently praised her work. "She is very efficient and organized," he often said to Gina. "She truly helps me manage everything at the office." Gina listened carefully to his words. She tried hard to appear calm and unaffected. But deep inside her, a small, persistent worry began to take root. It was like a tiny, unwanted seed planted firmly in her mind. Gina tried to convince herself that this was perfectly normal. Linda was simply his secretary, a professional helper. David was probably just pleased to have such capable assistants. She tried her best to push away the growing bad feelings and doubts. However, it proved to be very difficult. The more David spoke about Linda, the larger and more disturbing the worry became. It was no longer just about Linda's beauty or her confidence. It was also about the specific way David spoke of her and the unsettling way Linda had looked at Gina. Gina's heart was far from being at peace. A deep and persistent feeling of unease now stayed with her constantly, day and night. 5. The truth on the phone. One evening, David came home late again. He looked very tired. He sat on the sofa in the living room. Soon he fell asleep. His phone was next to him on the small table. It was open. I saw the bright screen. I had never looked at his phone before. I trusted him completely. But tonight, something felt different. A strong feeling pushed me to look. My heart was beating fast. I remembered the strange perfume from weeks ago. I remembered Linda's cold eyes at the office. I remembered David's distant words. All these things made me feel uneasy. Slowly, I walked closer to the sofa. I looked at David. He was sleeping deeply. I picked up his phone. My hands were shaking a little. I knew this was wrong, but I needed to know the truth. I opened his messages. Linda's name was at the top. There were many messages from her. I took a deep breath. Then I started to read them. The words jumped out at me. Linda called David my love. She wrote that she missed him. She asked him to divorce me. She said she wanted to be with him forever. She wanted a future with David. My eyes moved quickly down the screen. I saw David's answers. He did not say no to her. He did not tell her to stop. Instead, he wrote things like, "I need more time, and she does not know yet." He also wrote, "It is difficult." My world stopped. My breath caught in my throat. Each word was a sharp pain in my chest. My hands shook more. The phone almost fell from my grasp. All my worst fears were true. David was in love with Linda. He was planning to leave me. The woman I met at his office was not just a secretary. She was the reason for his late nights. She was the reason for his strange distance. She was the reason my husband was changing. A terrible sadness filled me. My heart broke into many tiny pieces. It felt like a glass falling and shattering. I could not stay in the living room. I went to the kitchen. It was dark and quiet. I sat down at the table. Hot tears ran down my face. I cried silently. The house felt very cold and empty around me. My happy life, my trust, and all my dreams were broken. I was alone with this terrible truth. My future suddenly looked very dark and unsure. It was the end of everything I knew. 6. A quiet plan. The terrible truth had come out. My heart felt broken, but I knew I could not stay sad forever. After that painful night, a new feeling started to grow inside me. It was not anger at first, but a quiet strength. I looked at my children sleeping in their beds. They were young and innocent. I realized I had to be strong for them. I had to protect them and myself from more hurt. My sadness began to change into a clear purpose. I knew what I had to do to take back control of my life. I needed help, so I thought about my options carefully. One morning, I made a secret phone call. I arranged to meet a lawyer in a quiet part of town. I did not tell David about this meeting. It was my secret step towards a new future. The lawyer was a kind woman. I told her everything that had happened. I spoke about David's late nights, the strange perfume, Linda, and the heartbreaking messages on his phone. The lawyer listened carefully. She said it was very important to collect proof. She told me exactly what kind of evidence I would need. From that day, my life changed. I started to act like a detective in my own home. It was a difficult and lonely time. I had to be very careful so David would not suspect anything. I took pictures of David's phone screen when he left it unlocked. The messages between him and Linda were important proof. I wrote down the dates and times he came home late, noting every detail. I also looked at the business papers when I could find a moment alone. I tried to understand our shared finances. Every piece of information was important for my children's future and mine. For many months, I lived a double life. In front of David, I smiled. I cooked his favorite dinners. I talked about normal, everyday things. I made sure our home felt peaceful. I pretended that everything was fine, just like before. He did not know that I was making secret plans. He did not know that I was getting ready to leave our marriage. It was hard to pretend every single day. I felt a heavy weight on my heart. Sometimes I felt very tired from keeping such a big secret. But then I remembered my children and I found new strength. I knew I was doing the right thing for us all. I was preparing for a new life, a better life without lies. I kept my plan a secret, waiting patiently for the right moment to act. 7, a new chapter. After months of quiet planning, I finally took the big step. I filed for divorce. This news completely surprised David. He did not expect it. He tried to talk to me, saying he was sorry. He said it was a mistake. But I had already heard those words. My heart was no longer open to them. I had spent too much time trusting him. Now, I needed to protect my future and my children's future. My lawyer helped me a lot. I had gathered a lot of evidence. This evidence showed David's affair. It also showed how much I had helped build the business. From the start, I used my savings. I worked hard at home. I supported David while he built his company. Because of this, the court gave me a fair settlement. I received the house, which was important for my children. I also got financial support. This money would help me start a new life. It meant I could take care of my family without worry. David could not argue against the evidence. The divorce was finalized quickly. It was a difficult time, but I felt a new strength inside me. Just a short time after our divorce was final, David married Linda. It was very fast. People in town talked about it. Some people thought I should be angry or sad. but I was not. I felt a strange sense of peace. I was free from a marriage that had become full of lies. I focused on my children and on building a new life for us. Their wedding did not hurt me. I knew what kind of love they shared. Their marriage, however, did not last long. Soon, I started to hear news. The printing business, which David had built, began to have problems. David was good at making money when I was there, helping and supporting him. But without my help, he struggled. He made bad decisions. The business started losing clients. Money became a big problem. Slowly, the business began to fall apart. David lost a lot of his money. When David's money was gone, Linda left him. It happened just as I had thought it would. Their relationship was not about true love. It was about what Linda could get from David. When he had no more money or power, she left. This showed everyone what their love was really made of. It was a sad ending for David, but it confirmed my feelings. I had moved on and I was ready for my own new chapter. 8. My own life. After the divorce, Gina started her new life. It was a big change, but she was ready. She focused on her children first. She wanted to give them a good, stable home. Gina managed the house and the money wisely. She made sure there was enough for everything they needed. She decided to start her own business. It was a small online store. She sold handmade items. At first, it was hard work. She spent many hours learning how to run a business online. She learned about websites, selling products, and talking to customers. Slowly, her store began to grow. More people bought her items. This success made her feel strong and happy. She was proud of what she was building by herself. Gina also focused on her own growth. She learned to be truly independent. She made all decisions for her family and her business. This new life gave her a sense of peace. She was no longer worried about David. She understood that her happiness came from within herself and from her children. Her home was full of love and strength. One day, David came to her door. He looked tired and sad. He said he was very sorry for everything. He told her he had made many mistakes. He asked for her forgiveness. He also said he missed her and the children. Gina listened to him quietly. She did not feel angry anymore. The pain from the past was gone. She looked at him and understood that he was no longer part of her future. She told him it was too late. She had moved on. Her life was hers now, completely. She wished him well. She knew she could not go back. She closed the door gently. A small, peaceful smile came to her face. This smile was not about winning. It was about surviving. It was about finding her own way and building a good, happy life for herself and her 2 children. She was truly free and content with her new beginning.